Throughout history, spiritual traditions, esoteric teachings, and modern psychology have explored the transformation of raw sexual energy, the lower animal impulses, into a refined, higher consciousness. This process is often referred to as a sublimation or transmutation of sexual energy, where base instincts are redirected towards spiritual, intellectual, and creative pursuits. The starting point for every man is the body, flesh, blood, hormone, and instinct. Our biology is no different from the beasts in the field. Sex, at the lowest level, is pure survival and pleasure. It is reproduction and dopamine. The animalistic self acts on impulse, driven by a chemical surge, a sensory craving. This is a domain of the lower chakras, the root and sacral centers, which anchor us to the material world. In the state of the lower animal, sexual energy is squandered. It is emitted without thought, purpose, or restraint. In this state, man chases after orgasm like a dog chases after meat. He is controlled by his desires. Pornography, masturbation, promiscuity, all are manifestations of this base state. The animal does not contemplate consequence. The animal does not wonder about purpose. It simply acts, reacts, and seeks the next hit of gratification. But man is not merely an animal. He is a vessel of higher consciousness, and within him lies a potential to rise. Yet, the transition from beast to being demands awareness. It requires a man to recognize his slavery to desire. No transformation can happen without awareness. The journey from the lower animal to the higher self begins when a man becomes conscious of the patterns that govern his behavior. When he begins to question his compulsions, why he feels drained after ejaculation, why lust never satisfies, why porn feels like a hollow victory. He has taken the first step. Awareness turns blind instinct into conscious choice. The man begins to see how his energy is leaking, how his strength is siphoned off through unchecked sexual activity. He begins to realize that each emission, each indulgence, is not just a momentary act. It is a withdrawal from the bank of his life force. With awareness comes the possibility of control. The man begins to pull back. He begins to say no. He begins to conserve. This is where semen retention, celibacy, and discipline emerge, not as punishments or ascetic extremes, but as tools for transformation. The energy that was once flowing outward begins to be held inward, and something miraculous starts to happen. Sexual energy is neither good nor bad. It is neutral like fire. It can burn down a forest or illuminate a city. The key lies in its direction. When a man stops wasting his seed, he creates a potential for transmutation, the process of turning base energy into a higher frequency of consciousness. This is not theory. It is science, spirituality, and psychology all woven together. The retained sexual energy rises in the body. It travels from the lower chakras up to the heart, the throat, the mind, and beyond. This upward flow is a secret of sages, monks, warriors, and artists. It is what the yogis call kundalini, the serpent energy coil at the base of the spine, waiting to ascend. When sexual energy is transmuted, it fuels creativity. The mind sharpens. The emotions stabilize. The body becomes magnetic. The aura brightens. The man who once crawled on the ground now begins to walk upright, physically and energetically. He no longer seeks women for validation, but for connection. He no longer masturbates to images, but meditates on visions. He no longer chases pleasure, but pursues purpose. This is a crossing over, from lower to higher, from brute to being, but the journey is not easy. It is not a one-time decision, but a lifelong battle. The lower self does not die quietly. It fights. The ego resists the surrender of its control. Old habits scream for attention. The brain, accustomed to dopamine hits, panics in the absence of stimulation. This is a spiritual war within, the war between the ego and the soul, between comfort and growth. Every temptation becomes a test. Every relapse is a reminder. But each victory, no matter how small, builds strength. Each moment of self-control carves out a new identity. You begin to recognize that you are not your urges. You are not your erection. You are not your lust. You are the awareness behind it all. You are the master, not the slave. In this battle, meditation becomes your sword. Breath work becomes your shield. Purpose becomes your compass. You begin to align your life with discipline, clarity, and intentionality. As you ascend into the higher self, something profound unfolds. You begin to radiate a different frequency. People notice. They may not understand why, but they feel it. Your energy becomes grounded, centered, powerful, and calm. This is a realm of charisma without words, confidence without arrogance, power without noise. The higher self is not anti-sex. It is the master of sex. It does not fear temptation. It transcends it. The higher self sees sexual energy not as something to be spent, but something to be cultivated. The seed that was once spilled now becomes fuel for ambition, insight, and impact. You begin to see your body as a temple, your energy as sacred, and your mission as divine. You speak with authority, walk with presence, and live with purpose. This is the ultimate expression of masculinity, not in domination, but in discipline, not in conquest, but in consciousness. One of the most overlooked aspects of sexual energy is its creative potential. Every artist, inventor, leader, and visionary has tapped into the source, consciously or unconsciously. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich called it sex transmutation. He noted that the most successful men were those who had mastered their sexual nature and redirected it into their life's mission. This creative power is not limited to painting or poetry. It applies to business, leadership, speaking, building, and living. When a man is no longer chasing women, he chases his dreams. When he stops leaking his energy, he starts focusing it. The same energy that creates a child can create a company, a movement, a masterpiece. Your ideas become sharper. Your intuition deepens. Your productivity skyrockets. You begin to build things that outlast your body. You become a creator, not just biologically, but spiritually and mentally. This is the power of sublimated sexual energy. Another transformation happens in how you relate to others, especially women. When your sexual energy is under control, you begin to see women not as objects of desire, but as mirrors of the divine. You approach them with respect, not hunger. You are no longer needy, because you are full. In relationships, you bring presence, not possession. Love becomes expansive, not obsessive. Sex becomes sacred, not mechanical. You can hold space for intimacy without being dominated by desire. The higher self does not run from attraction, but neither does it drown in it. It balances passion with purity, connection with control. This makes you magnetic, not because of looks or lines, but because of your energy. You become rare, and rare is attractive. The ultimate goal of ascending from the lower animal to the higher self is not just personal enlightenment. It is service. The man who has mastered his sexual energy becomes a light for others. He walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere. He speaks and people listen. He leads not through force, but through example. Join our Telegram channel to view more motivational materials. Let's continue. The world is starving for such men who have fire in their belly but stillness in their eyes, men who can build and protect, men who can feel deeply and act decisively, men who are no longer ruled by the animal, but who have not killed the animal either, only tamed it, elevated it, crowned it. This is a complete man, the integrated man, the awakened man, the inner alchemist. The journey from lower animal to higher self is the greatest transformation a man can undergo. It is a path of the inner alchemist, turning the lead of lust into the gold of purpose. It is not a rejection of sexuality, but the redemption of it. It is not about being cold, distant, or sterile, but about being powerful, focused, and whole. Sexual energy is the greatest gift you've been given. You can spill it and stay small, or you can harness it and become great. Your power does not lie in denial. It lies in discipline. Your future is not determined by your past, but by your present choice. Choose mastery. Rise from the animal. Step into the higher self. Your throne is waiting. Subscribe to this YouTube channel.